Good morning, gentlemen. This is the daily prayer for men. If you haven't joined us, it is July 23rd, 2020. The prayer for today is, the theme for today is God is a spirit, and those that worship him, God must worship in spirit and in truth. And the Father is seeking such to worship him, not our bank accounts, not Facebook, not our families, not exercise, not food, not comfort things, him, not gossip. Jesus said the truth would set you free. And I heard that strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, those who by reason of use have their senses trained to discern between good and evil. So strong meat, mature meat, that belongs to people that use what they have, which means to worship God in spirit and in truth, because since the day of Pentecost, we've been given spirit. So we need to use it to be able to mature. And it's interesting because the Bible says that we're able to know the difference between those things that are good and those things that are not good, so that we're trained to know or discern between good and evil. Now, it's interesting, the word for good and evil. And in Greek, the word for evil was kakos with a K, and good was kalos with an L. So in the Greek language, where the Bible was, they spoke Koine Greek, it's like it was kalos and kakos. So the difference between exquisitely good, kalos, and spiritually injurious, kakos, was one letter. And in order to know the difference, you have to be discerning and you have to worship God in spirit and in truth. Because if not, evil is going to seem like a gray area, and good is going to seem like there's a gray area. So, Father, I thank you for understanding the truth that you are a spirit, and those that worship him or you must worship in spirit and in truth. I thank you that this resonates. It doesn't just become something that goes in one ear and out the other of these gentlemen. That they realize that life is spiritual, not physical. That where they dominate is in the spiritual realm, because that is where you are. That is where your son was raised to sit, right next to you at your right hand. It's where these men are today. Father, open up their eyes so they can see clearly. Open up their ears. You say in your word that the enemy can't blind those who are going to believe. He can't be so good at his deception that the people that are going to believe, that they're going to have just the strength to believe that you are a spirit and that your son, Jesus Christ, was raised from the dead by you, that they'll be able to believe that and live spiritually and walk by your spirit, not the flesh. Father, this is my prayer for them today, whether they're in Nairobi, Zimbabwe, Arkansas, Egypt, Maine, Michigan, Iowa, Honduras, Belarus, the UK, wherever they are. If they're in a desert, if they're on the highest mountain, if they're by a river, if they're at a beach. You said, my sheep hear my voice. And you said, now is. When Jesus Christ spoke to the lady at the well and said, this water you're going to have to replenish, but the water that I give you shall be a well of water springing up into everlasting life. And her heart was touched. And she said, give me of this living water. And then he said, bring your husbands. And she said, I don't have a husband. And he said, that's right. You've had 5, and the person that you're with is not your husband. And she said, I perceive that you're a prophet. And then she goes on, she said, our fathers worshipped on the mountain, and you Judeans say that you go to another place and worship. And Jesus so kindly tells her and says, you don't know what you worship. Now is the time that you will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. Gentlemen, the Father is seeking you. The Father is pursuing you. Think about that. The Father is seeking. Let's think about like when you want to do something, right? You know, you have your limitations. You get sleepy, you get hungry, you get frustrated, you get overwhelmed. But the Father is seeking. The one that is perfect, who never does anything wrong, who never runs out of energy, who's always powerful, who's always knowing, all-knowing, who knew you when you took your first breath, who knows everything, who knows where the clients are, who knows where the need is, who knows what the trend is going to happen. It says he is seeking such to worship him, and his desires are going to be manifested. So, Papa, I thank you for this prayer. Who you are spirit, and those that worship you must worship in spirit and in truth. Any other thing is not the truth. It's not discerning between that which is exquisitely good, that chaos, and that which is spiritually injurious, that chaos. So I thank you, Papa, that you open up their eyes. They can walk out on this truth and be absolutely different. And if they don't know who you are, if they don't know that you're a spirit, if they don't know that the way to you is through your Son, Jesus Christ, that you raised from the dead, never to die again, that today would be the day. In Jesus Christ of Nazareth's precious name, amen.